This is the second of my follow-up videos on the stocks that I've bought in the past that have had some up and down movement to bring you up to date as to where I stand with them and where I think they're going from here, so that you can have a better idea as to what my thinkings are and what my tribe's thinkings are on these stocks. I want to encourage you to stick with this video and see the end of it, because I think it'll give you a window into what's going to happen and what is going to make these stocks go up substantially in the future. So stick with me and we'll get right into it after I do this disclosure that I'm not your financial advisor. While we're doing that, though, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and to press that like button and get ready at the end to leave your comment. Be right back.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
Okay, this was really my first introduction into genome sequencing. I actually knew of it because I had spit in a tube several years earlier and sent that spit off to 23andMe, and they came back and gave me a general picture of what was the makeup of my genome, who my relatives were that they had already done genome sequencing with. And so I gained some understanding. Then as I got into the knowledge of genome therapy, I started to put the picture together that the first phase of my genome therapy will be genome sequencing, and that is to say, to take a look at how my body is made up and what condition my genome is in. I came to realize that there were two ways to read my genome, a short read and a long read. The short read is actually less expensive, as I understand it, but the long read is more expensive and takes more time. So the leader in this is a company by the name of Illumina. Their ticker is ILMN. They actually tried to buy their biggest competitor, that is Pacific Biosciences, PACB, who controlled the long read market. Nonetheless, Illumina at the time I bought, which was in roughly November of 2020, controlled 90% of the market. But I believed that Pacific Bioscience had some opportunity to capture part of that market. So I actually bought both of them around the same time. My knowledge and my experience since then tells me that these stocks are truly dependent on the genome therapy stocks, the stocks that I did a video on earlier, and that would be Intella, Editas, Beam, CRISPR, and Caribou. Once they create the therapies that will in fact eliminate the diseases in our bodies, the genetic diseases, anybody and everybody is going to want to have their genome sequenced. And this is going to create a storm of your doctor to say, hey, I'd like to have my genome sequenced. The other thing that has to happen, first of all, that genome sequencing in the year 2000 would have cost you $1 billion. Yes, that's a B, $1 billion. It's now down to somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000. Now, I don't know the difference between the genome sequencing that 23andMe and Illumina and Pacific Bioscience does, but I got my genome sequence through 23andMe for a mere $100. Again, I don't know the difference, but with that being said, what I believe is as the therapies come out of phase 1 and phase 2 trials, you and I are going to want our genome sequenced, and we're going to go to our doctor and say, I need to have this done. And these two companies will run in parallel with the genome therapy companies. So let's take a look at how I bought them, when I bought them, how they reacted, then how they reacted to the dip in the market, and where I think they're going in the future. Look at this graph. This is my chart to give you some idea of what I expect from my genome sequencing stocks. I own two, Illumina and Pacific Biosciences. And you can see I bought them both pretty much near to the same time. I bought Illumina, it looks like around November the 5th, and then Pacific around November the 10th. And they followed a similar path, and then Pacific Bioscience got some very good publicity, and we believed at one point they would replace Illumina, but it didn't work out that way. And you can see they both then, as we entered the February drop, the February dip, they dipped quite hard and hit some new lows for 2020. Then they rebounded and have settled now and come back a bit. All in all, I'm up 74% on Pacific and 54% on Illumina. Now, the extended line, the trend line I have put in here, basically matches very closely to the trend line that I put with the genome therapy companies. Because what I believe is as the genome therapy companies come out of phase ones and give us promise that there is going to be an opportunity for cures for these many diseases, many genetic diseases that we have on our plate, more people and more medical facilities will recognize the importance of genome sequencing and the importance of getting it done. I, in fact, have an appointment this coming Friday with my physician, and I'm going to ask him the question, where are you at UAB Medical Center relative to genome sequencing? I have a history of cancer in my family. Do you have a genome sequencing capability here at UAB, or do I need to go somewhere else? So I think that's a question that more and more people are going to be asking their physicians, and that is going to create this surge in demand for genome sequencing. It's going to put it at top of mind, and I see this following almost exactly the trajectory of the genome therapy companies. Is this where it will end up? No. This is just the beginning. This will take us through the excitement period of genome sequencing, and it will then lead into the application period, and then it will go into everybody is going to want it and be a part of it. It will follow exactly the same path, the same trajectory as the internet did, but rather than connecting the world, we're saving lives. So I see this as a huge opportunity, and I will continue to hold these stocks. There are others in the field, but I believe these two cover both the long read and the short read of genome sequencing. So I think with these two stocks, I have all bases covered, and they will give me exponential growth. So that's my take on the genome sequencing stocks. I think, as I said, they run hand in hand with the genome therapy, and then right after that is going to become those people who gather the data that is generated from this genome sequencing and genome therapy, and you and I's commitment to it, to monitor our bodies, to make sure that we also then have our protein sequenced so that we not only know through genome sequencing what may happen in our body in the future, but through protein sequencing, we will learn what is going on in our body right now. And then in a collaboration with that, we have the stocks that I own relative to using artificial intelligence to determine a quicker way to find the drugs and therapies to take care of our protein disorders in our body and give us pharmaceuticals at a quicker pace. That is another area that I invest in, and I will in the future show you the graphs on those, where I think they're going, and how I think I will achieve exponential growth, not only in genome sequencing, but genome therapy, protein sequencing, and pharmaceutical drug discovery. That's my take on this. I'm committed to keep you up to date, basically because I did a video last week that asked the question. My portfolio is up 95%, but my subscriber base has plateaued out at roughly 148,000. Why am I not growing? And you came back to me and said, you're not following up with the companies that you bought and giving us your perspective as to why we need to even continue to hold them as they go through some rough times. So that's my commitment to you. I need to be in fair honesty and full disclosure that I release my videos to my tribe roughly 48 hours or more before I release them to the public, so that those people who support me get an advantage of those people who don't support me, which I think is fair. So that's my take on these, and I promise to continue to give you my firsthand knowledge.